How did one man change the pick and roll forever, turning it into one of the most efficient plays in modern basketball?
James has basically forced the whole league to reconsider, how to defend.
James is a basketball genius.
We'll get more into what Dwayne Wade meant here, but we have to first understand for that decades, the pick and roll was a predictable dance. A screen was set at the elbow, the guard attacked the middle, and the defense rotated. It was simple and classic until James Harden happened. How did he do it? And how was he able to weaponize it so effectively that superstars such as Shai Gilgeous Alexander, Luka Doncic, and others now make it their game? But you see, Harden didn't just change the play, he broke the rules of engagement. We're now going to break down the 3 specific mechanics he mastered, and by the end, you'll see why Mike D'Antoni defended this system even though he admitted it wasn't beautiful. And you'll never guess the one fundamental rule Harden invented to completely counter defensive aggression. But before all that, let's get into Harden's style of attack. The first thing Harden did was change the map. He took the pick and roll and moved the entire operation high, right up to the 3-point line. This was the first shot fired against traditional basketball. Think about the classic PNR. Stockton and Malone ran it close to the free throw line. Steve Nash ran it near the elbow. They wanted the mid-range jumper or the easy 2-point pass. Harden wanted the 3 or free throws immediately. So, what did he do? He used a subtle, quick screen, something analysts called a mini pick, to force the defense to make a choice 30 feet from the basket. If the big man was slow to recover, it was a wide open 3-pointer. If the big man switched onto him, it was a guaranteed mismatch. This is why Dwayne Wade calls Beard a genius.
James is a basketball genius.
Yes.
That do not get credit for being a basketball genius.
Yes.
The way that he manipulates the game, but it's not just for fouls, the way that he picks the game apart, bro, it's masterful.
And keep that masterful in mind because of what Gilbert Arenas later calls him later in this video. But then this shift in geography pulled the defense out of the paint, creating a traffic jam in the lane. This traffic jam wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate design. It meant that every time Harden drove, the defense was already out of position, leading to those open passes to shooters or the lob to the roller. Lamar Odom, a 2-time champion, watched this and saw a system that lacked basketball purity. And so he said, and I quote, "NBA teams are stupid. They give the ball to their best player and put him in the pick and roll. That player handles the ball until the shot clock is at the end. Then he passes to a player not as good as him who has to take or make a shot." Odom saw low IQ spam, but what he missed was the high IQ reading and decision making that Harden had mastered. Harden wasn't waiting for the shot clock to wind down. He was using the initial screen to immediately create a 4-on-3 advantage. Harden himself explains it here.
Go. He can't get back in front of you. So now you gotta go. Like, try to get behind him. Now you gotta make a decision. Now I got layup or I got you. So once I get him on my back, you just go.
This was turning the PNR from a set play into a constant, aggressive probe, often run 40 to 70 times per game during his peak in Houston. It was a relentless offensive wave that broke the defense's will. But this relentless attack only became possible because of the next mechanical change Harden introduced, an almost legal form of cheating, something that Steve Kerr loves to clown him for.
Hang on.
You see, if moving the pick and roll to the 3-point line was the blueprint, then foul drawing was the dynamite. And you should see what Steve Kerr later said about this. But before that, we need to understand how James Harden mastered the dark art of absorbing contact. In the traditional PNR, defenses would try to sag off the ball handler, forcing them into a mid-range shot. However, Harden countered this sagging defense with a lethal combination: the step back 3. But when defenders started to close out harder, Harden saw not a challenge, but an opportunity. His signature move was to morph into the shooting motion at the precise moment of contact. and Steve Kerr hated it.
James has basically forced the whole league to reconsider, how to defend him in particular, but even how to guard pick and roll. So I've seen a lot of innovative stuff out there. Toronto did something interesting with them a few weeks ago. Luke Walton ran a box and one the other night against him in Sacramento. But that's who James is. He's so good that you have to try to do your best to keep him off balance.
This was not a natural shooting motion, it was a calculated mechanic designed to exploit the rules. And it worked so well that people like Don McLean called it manipulation. Although McLean was right, not everyone saw it that way. Mike D'Antoni saw the efficiency and how it was an offense that produced lots of points. But that's not all Harden did to change the pick and roll forever. There's also the snake dribble, or snake back. So, after using the screen to go one direction, Harden would snake back toward the middle of the floor with the hesitation or crossover dribble. This move was the ultimate counter to a hedging or trapping defense. If the big defender dropped too far, Harden would drive. If help rotated, he'd lob to the roller or kick out to a shooter. The snake dribble works because it forces the defense to commit to a direction, and then it instantly reverses the pressure. Harden's principle was simple. You must create a new mismatch every time the defense solves the old one. This relentless pressure meant the defense was always wrong. They couldn't sag, or Harden shoots a three. They couldn't close hard, or Harden would draw a foul. And then they couldn't hedge, or Harden snakes back for a layup or a pass. And that's why when Trey Murphy was asked about how to defend Harden, here's what he said.
You literally have to stay on the side of him.
Yeah.
Like when he shoots, you cannot contest forward. You have to stay on the side because even if you are not touching him, you're gonna be close enough they're gonna call a foul.
Harden was the first player to run the pick and roll over 40% of the time in a season, using it as his primary offense, not just an option. But this obsession with efficiency, even at the cost of aesthetics, is what changed the game forever. Yes, it was an ugly style of winning, but was it worth it? Well, it made experts and analysts say this.
James Harden is the greatest scorer in the game today. This brother is something special.
And because people love efficiency, not everyone saw Harden as a manipulator, especially Mike D'Antoni. When James Harden's Houston Rockets were at their peak, they were the ultimate offense. And just as the strategy was a statistical marvel, it was universally hated by the basketball purists. But Mike D'Antoni, the architect of the 7 seconds or less Suns, defended the madness. He admitted the style was flawed, but he defended it as necessary to maximize Harden's unique rule-bending skill set. But people often forget what it takes to master such a skill. I mean, just listen to Ivica Zubac's here.
First shoot around, stay a little longer, let's work on our pick and roll stuff. He just got to the team, he's trying to get to know guys, what they like and everything. So I thought it was gonna be for a few days. And after every shoot around, after every practice, we're staying 20 minutes at least just working pick and roll from like 6 different spots. I told James I can't do it, I'm tired, and then I had a bad game. Now he's like, every time we do it, you get 15 points, so what you want to do? So now I'm not skipping it anymore.
That's how hard it can be to get Harden's pick and roll right. And today, he has rewritten how teams are built. His relentless pick and roll made one thing brutally clear. Traditional, slow-footed centers couldn't survive. If a big man couldn't switch on to Harden or recover fast enough, he instantly became a liability. Coaches had 2 choices: bench their 7-footers or teach them to guard the perimeter. Overnight, mobility became more valuable than size. That single shift changed how teams scouted, drafted, and even designed their defensive systems. This made it clear to everyone just how hard it was to stop Harden.
James is very tough to guard in one-on-one.
Yes.
Pick and roll. To me, when he was with the Rockets, he was the best pick and roll player in the league with him and Clint.
Well, one of the best we've ever seen in the league.
But if there's one key innovation that truly made Harden one of the best we've ever seen in the league's history, it's the inverted pick and roll. Instead of waiting for a big man to set the screen, Harden would set one himself for a smaller teammate. That flipped the defensive roles completely, forcing mismatches, creating confusion, and proving that the pick and roll wasn't just a play anymore. it was a weapon. The ripple effect was massive. Every modern offense now borrows from Harden's approach.
James Harden took a lot of criticism for getting fouled and how he played the one-on-one ISO, and then we see a Luka Doncic, we're like, oh.
Which is why Gilbert Arenas called him this.
So he's gonna bait you, do all that whole
to get to 33. That's a lot of bait.
He's 35.
That's 9 free throws a game.
So he's a baiter. Is he a novice baiter or is he a master of that?
He could get hot. Some games that old body could get hot.
He's 35. He's a master baiter. Damn it.
Yo, that was crazy.
James Harden took a classic play and turned it into a weaponized system. He moved the map, he mastered the foul draw, and he used the snake back to ensure the defense could never predict his next move. The aesthetic was messy, but the efficiency was undeniable. Don McLean called it manipulating the game. Steve Kerr called it undesirable, but D'Antoni called it winning. Harden's contribution is that he forced the league to accept that the ultimate goal of the pick and roll is not flow or beauty, but pure, ruthless, mathematical efficiency. And now, more players have picked it up. But do you think the NBA should have changed the rules sooner to stop Harden's foul drawing? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to see another player who fundamentally changed a key basketball concept, then watch How One Man Changed the Center Position Forever next.